Hey everybody, so this week in social studies, you guys are going to be on MobyMax reviewing about World War One. So I thought I would review with you a little bit. I actually have our social studies textbook right here, and I'm just going to go through some things that we talked about earlier this year with World War One to help try and jog your memory. Okay, so if you'll remember at the beginning of World War One, this was back in the 1910s. Okay, so basically just over 100 years ago. The world was a different place than it is right now. Countries were trying to decide what they could do to make themselves more powerful. A lot of times that was that they would need to take over another country to try and become bigger because then they could have more people, more jobs, bigger militaries, and all that. And so if you'll recall, a lot of the countries wanted that power. And specifically, one of the main aggressors during World War One was Germany. Okay, Germany later becomes, a huge aggressor in World War Two also. And they were against the United States in both wars. So anyway, different things were happening at the very beginning of World War One, with countries kind of trying to take over the other country and become more powerful. But once World War One started, we had our two different groups: the Allies and the Central Powers. Okay, at the beginning of the war, the United States was not involved in the fighting. They did have some friends that were fighting in the war and they would help send supplies to them, but it wasn't until the sinking of the Lusitania. Okay. If you will recall, with the sinking of the Lusitania, that was a British ship, and Britain is not America. That's a different country. But there were American citizens on board. And Germany sent a torpedo, which is a big bullet, like in a gun. Okay, a huge big bullet to hit that ship and sink that ship. And that was upsetting. Okay. That was an event that led to the United States saying, hey, they're going to keep attacking us and hurting our citizens if we do not put our military in this. Okay, now World War One was fought in Europe. I'm going to show you this picture real fast. Okay, all those orange countries are your Central Powers. That was United States enemy. Okay, all the green is the Allies. That's our group. And then if you see that beige or white color, those were not on either side. Those were neutral. Now the fighting during World War One was a little different than what it had been in, say, the Civil War. They used the trench warfare. If you'll recall, here's a picture. Okay. A trench is a very large, very large and skinny hole cut into the ground where the military members can hide when they're not fighting, but also sleep and eat and do their different living activities. That they lived on the battlefield, and so they didn't have like a special camp set up, and they didn't have a special battlefield. It was all the same thing. There were also a lot of new weapons used at this time. When we talked about the Lusitania being sunk, that was not from a bullet in a gun. It was from a big bullet called a torpedo from a submarine. Okay, so that was some new war technology. They also had some larger guns than what they used in the Civil War. Okay. Two vocabulary words that it talks about that I want to make sure y'all remember is rations and propaganda. Now, rations is something that I'm seeing when I go to the store. This morning, my husband went to Publix to get Lunchables for my kids, and they said there is a limit of 2 Lunchables. That's because they're putting a ration on it, which I thought that one was a little crazy because what if you have 3 kids? Does one not get to eat? But anyway, you may have seen rations on toilet paper. That is a big one right now, and some cleaning products. Then there's propaganda. Propaganda is something released from the government telling you what the government wants you to do. So if it is, hey guys, stay home right now and wash your hands, that's propaganda. That's the government telling us what to do. And that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that message, but it's just information from the government. We looked at some different propaganda posters. For example, you can see Uncle Sam right there trying to get people to sign up for the U.S. Army, showing about the enemies with the tanks, and trying to get nurses. All right, so whenever World War I was over, the Allies did win, and an armistice was signed. That is an agreement to stop fighting. Also, at that time, they signed the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was signed in Paris, France, and it gave the punishment to Germany, and it was not a good punishment. It was lots and lots of money. It was some of the land that they had taken over and the countries that they thought they no longer had. And so that's going to upset them. And they're going to stew on that for years and years, come all the way till World War II. And you know what happened then. So anyway, I just wanted to go over those things with you again. Good luck this week, and please reach out if you have questions about World War I with social studies.